moment.
See if this thing goes live on Facebook, because I've been having great difficulty with it the past couple of minutes. I don't know why, honestly. Couldn't tell you. But I do know that Facebook is being difficult with me. So I shall see if I am live on Facebook. No, it's saying I'm not. Oh boy. Come on, work with me here. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to forward everyone to YouTube and to Periscope over here. Okay, so Facebook isn't letting me use my own platform for this, so you might as well say screw it. I don't know why, for whatever the reason, but I can tell you this. Not happy about it. Not happy at all. Because I mainly use Facebook for my live videos. So, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what I did. It says that I violated some term. I don't know what, but it was for 28 days. God knows what. But who knows, honestly. It's, to be honest, with this whole pandemic going around, Facebook has been very weird with everything. You could have the best, the most appropriate video or appropriate picture out there, and Facebook will take it down and say it violates some sort of contract of whatever it is, of their somewhat agreement or whatnot. I honestly don't know why. This is honestly really getting me upset because I had a whole show planned. I still do, but it just gets a lot more difficult now with Facebook being this way. And I use Facebook a lot for the platform because that's where I get a lot of people who like to comment and watch. But because of this, it's just really gets it out there. I honestly don't know why. And if this is coming to the live video, hopefully. But, well, there's that. So, if you can't find the link or whatnot, let me know, because Facebook is being overly disappointing. So what I'll do is I just got a better idea of how to run this live stream. Because honestly, I don't know why it's doing this to me. I really don't. I'm not a bad guy. I don't have bad ideals or ideas, for that matter. I just don't know why. But I can tell you this. It's not looking good on Facebook's part for them to screw me on this. Who knows, honestly. But it does bother me a great deal because I have a nice fan base, not tremendous in size, but it's annoying. It really is. Especially when I plan to have it on Facebook, and then for whatever the reason, because of a post back on when was it? Back on New Year's Eve. And then Facebook's telling me, well, you can't have a live video because we didn't see this way back when. And it wasn't terrible by any means. It was just, oh, well, we're Facebook and it's overly atrocious nowadays. Because who gives a damn? But what am I going to do, right? Can't really do much. Can I? But overall, the show must go on. So, welcome everybody to the Risorto Report. This version on YouTube and Periscope. To all my Periscope followers, how you doing? To all my YouTube followers, how you doing? Oh boy, this not so good on my part because one, I didn't expect this to happen. Oh well. So, where do we begin? It is day 11 without hockey. Day 11. And so far, nothing. No hockey. And I actually went to the store today and I saw some flyers on the window and I started booing them. That's how desperate we are for hockey, people. That's how desperate we are. But overall, to say that it's being dragged out is one thing, but for the pandemic, I can understand that. It's awful. It's atrocious. I miss hockey. Everyone in the world misses hockey except non-hockey fans, which for some odd reason, why, I don't understand why you're not hockey fans. But overall, let's get the show started. So I've been talking with some people recently, and there's a possibility that the NHL will allow teams to buy out contracts, two of them, with amnesty. Or I'm not sure that's how it's said, but for what it's going, with these two amnesty buyouts, that's it. Amnesty buyouts. Teams will be able to buy out two players without having it go against the cap at all. So where do we go from here? We have a couple of possibilities on our hands. We could buy out Leo Komarov. I wouldn't have a problem with that. We could buy out Andrew Ladd. Don't have a problem with that either. Or buy out Johnny Boychuk. Any combination of those two. One of them will have to stay, but overall, we'd have to get rid of two of them at least. One of them would have to stay. As much as I know you don't want to hear that, we'd have to have him stay. But what are you going to do, right? There's not much we can do at this point. I would say, in this situation, I would honestly say that you would buy out Andrew Ladd. That's a first. That's the number one priority right there. Buy out Andrew Ladd on that horrific contract. Because my God, Garth Snow, way to go on that. Way to fucking go on that. Yes, there's going to be swear words in this. The next one, if you choose Komarov or Boychuk, you don't go wrong either way. Both of which, Komarov is a forward, Boychuk's a defenseman. Komarov is more of a defensive forward, but offensively, he doesn't know how to shoot the puck, or if he does, it's by complete accident. And honestly, if you buy out Boychuk, it's also not a bad choice, really. It isn't. It really isn't a bad choice. But overall, you don't know what's going on. I'm going to look up the numbers right now so we can get a reference. Let's see here. New York Islanders. Avoiding me like Lou avoids facial hair. And we're going to get into Lou Lamoriello a little later. Trust me, we will. No one escapes this show. Okay, where are the New York? Here they are. Okay, so let's go to Leo Komarov first. Now, in total, to buy out Leo Komarov would be about $3 million and change off the cap. That would be on the cap, but that would be coming off. For Boychuk, let's see here. Current buyout contract. Kalen Ashes. How are you, Kalen? So for the first 2 years, if we were to buy out Boychuk regularly, it'd be about 10 million plus off on that's on the cap combined. But overall, it'll be 11 and change. So I would say I think the obvious choice would have to be buyout Andrew Ladd and Johnny Boychuk. That would take off roughly, I'm telling you, roughly. We add the 5 and then the carry the 6 and the 2s and all carry other numbers that are somewhat involved. Let's see, buyout current contract. About a lot of money. Not sure how much. 11.5. 11.5 off the cap. I wouldn't mind that. That would actually benefit this team more than hurt it. And as much as I don't like Leo Komarov, it would be worth it at this point to buy Boychuk and Ladd out for the sole reason of freeing up cap space due to the fact that Matt Barzal and Devon Taves, who I'm not a big fan of, as well as Ryan Pulock, are restricted free agents and need to be signed. So with that all being said, this team really needs some help. And I'm not just talking, well, it's going to be this or that, in Lou we trust. Well, Lou hasn't really gained my full trust yet, just saying. But I can tell you this. We need some goal scorers on this squad. And that's not saying, oh, well, we'll buy this guy or we'll buy that guy. It's we need goal scoring. There isn't any way to deny it. There really isn't. So I'm trying to look up why Facebook is not letting me go live or anything. It's telling me because of something I posted. It's not telling me what. It's simply telling me that I can't. I don't know why, but still trying and always trying. For 28 days, because I posted something, I don't know when. When was it telling me? It was telling me that I can't go live for a certain amount of days for 28 days because it's something on March 19th. Didn't follow community standards. Well, here's the thing with Facebook and their community standards nowadays. With their community standards, it's all over the place now. You can't post a thing. You could post something. I posted something that regarded Tom Brady. Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. And honestly, when it came to that, they said that it went beyond went against their community standards. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg knows what the hell he's been doing lately. Anything that has anything to do with anything, I think he'll mark as it goes against community standards. But oh well. And I can't go under the burner account name because I don't have anybody following me on there. But point is, we're doing YouTube and Periscope today, and the next time will be 29 days from now. So, where do we leave off? Where we leave off is the fact of the matter is this team needs some moves to be made. They need a goal scorer, which is obvious. And because of the Q&A that Lou Lamoriello did with fans recently, it is known and said by Lou Lamoriello that Ilya Sorokin will be coming over to the NHL to play for the Islanders. Now, that's beneficial, and once that move is officially made, where it says, he's officially signed by the Islanders, this, that, and the other, that is when I will give him praise. He will get the praise when he deserves it. He's not getting praise now because, anything could happen. We don't know. But once that move says official of saying Ilya Sorokin has been transferred from the KHL to the NHL or whatever the case may be, that is when we'll start giving Lou praise for that. So, other things. with this being said, now I honestly have a question for everyone out there who's watching this. My question to you is, whenever Sorokin comes over, will Lou Lamoriello allow him to wear his number 90? Because he's worn it for some time in the KHL. I know the rule is, I know one of Lou's rules is he doesn't like high numbers. But if you're a veteran and you've been around the game long enough and you've worn a certain number, you can keep your number. But if you haven't, then you can't keep that number. You just can't for some reason because Lou doesn't believe in it. According to him, it's the player that makes the number, not the number that makes the player. To a point, I get that. There are other numbers that we could choose from here for Sorokin. I don't think he's going to get number 1 because I think, honestly, Semyon Varlamov is going to switch from 40 to 1 once Thomas Greiss becomes a free agent. I like Thomas Greiss, but his time has come, and that's no knock on him. When it comes to this, I'd have to say maybe number 40 for Sorokin. Because I don't know or have seen anybody wear number 30 under Lou Lamoriello in Toronto and here since Marty Brodeur in New Jersey. That could be just coincidence, but also could be that Lou Lamoriello has sentiment towards that number like he did towards 13 in his time in New Jersey and with his time with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But for some reason, the 13 stays here because so many people have purchased Barzal jerseys and shirts that telling Barzal, hey, you can't wear that number anymore would cause an Islander epidemic. But I'm thinking it'll probably be 40. If it's 90, then terrific. I would like that a lot. So, there's other things we need to discuss. And I figured make this live video simply because of the fact that there was so much with everything going on nowadays. With everything going on, I figure just take everyone's mind off of this pandemic. Yes, the coronavirus is something to be aware of, but we don't have to hear about it every day, right? We really don't have to. Even though the sports world is shut down, so to speak, we can still talk about it. And for the first time, I'm wearing the Islander hat because, well, it's been almost 2 weeks. Figure we'll give it some love. Otherwise, I'll either switch to the Raider hat or the Mets hat. If I can find the Raider hat, that is. I haven't been able to see it for a bit. Am I sitting on it? Good. Thank you, Evan C. Thank you, sir. Or should I wear the Giants hat? Do you think the Islanders hat deserves some love right now or no? Because I honestly don't know. Does it deserve some love after being punished because the Islanders have been sucking? Does it really? Or should I switch hats to something else? That's the question of the century. So we have either, from what I can find right now, and I know some of you people aren't fans of these teams. Let's see. Okay, so I've got 2 hats here right now. It is either Giants or White Sox. You pick which one. And then I'll switch the hat if you people say I should. Why is Thompson still employed? That's a good question. Some people will tell you, oh, well, he fits Trotz's system and he fits it's part of the organization. Everyone gets along. Well, no. The reason why, from what I can understand at least, is that Thompson is all buddy-buddy with Lou Lamoriello's son, Chris Thompson. Wow. Chris Lamoriello. Now, not knocking Chris Lamoriello. You really can't. Oh, here's my Mets hat. Here's a Steelers hat. I'm finding hats all over the place. And yes, I cleaned the apartment recently. But point is, Chris Lamoriello is buddy-buddy with Brett Thompson. Now, when it comes to defensemen, Thompson is good. When it comes to developing defensemen, Thompson is good. When it comes to developing forwards, though, I don't think we've seen a big result out of that. We saw Hosang, but look how that shit went. We have Michael Dalcole, but he fourth liner at best at this point. We have Oliver Wahlstrom. Well, he's not ready. Oh, boy. We have Kiefer Bellows, but for some reason, he's still in the AHL. I don't know why. Oh, we've got Simon Holmstrom. Well, why? That's a big question, is why. The only two forwards that he's developed that are of any note for that matter, are Casey Cizikas and Brock Nelson. What other top six forwards has Thompson developed, really? Has he developed anyone? Would I demote Thompson to assistant coach in charge of defense and penalty killing? Would I? Would I is the question. I would say it all depends on whoever the new head coach is that is brought in. Because if the new head coach is brought in and he doesn't like or want Thompson, Thompson's gone for all we care. And I wouldn't mind it. I know some Bridgeport lovers wouldn't, because supposedly all the players love him. I've heard differently. I've heard the players hate him. Now, I'm not going to reveal who I have to back that up. For the sake of that person, I'm not going to identify them or identify how they know. But know this, I do know that the players do not like Brent Thompson. That says a lot. Now, I have no role in the Islanders organization. As you can clearly tell, I'm not wearing any Islanders gear that says, hey, I'm a part of it. I'm just wearing an Islanders hat and an Islanders background and 2 Islander jerseys and an Islanders flag over there, if you could tell. Maybe because why are the Bridgeport lovers in love with Thompson? Maybe because he gives them free access to meet the players. Maybe because who the hell knows? I honestly can't answer that. I'm not a fan of Thompson by any means. I tend to wonder why he's still here under Lou Lamoriello's eyes. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? I really can't give anyone a straight answer for that. And as much as I want to, I don't know why. But for right now, the way things are going for this team, if the season were to resume, if it were, because at this point, I'm not too sure. And at this point, do we really want the season to resume in the summer when baseball season is among us? I know I'm a Mets fan. I know some people are Yankee fans. But do we really want to clash baseball and hockey in the same thing? I mean, I know I want the Stanley Cup, but the way this Islanders team was playing, didn't look like they were going for the cup anytime soon. How will I judge Sorokin if he comes over next season? That's a good question. And I know I've talked to some people about this. How will I judge Sorokin? By NHL standards, he's a rookie. Can't really give him the rookie pass. But you can be tough but fair with him. He's not going to get any freebies. Unless, what if Sorokin doesn't make the team? Not enough to crack the team roster, has to start off in Bridgeport. Who is your backup then? See right there. That's the question. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but you always have to wonder, what if that does happen? What if Sorokin, for whatever the reason, just doesn't cut it in Trotz's eyes right now? Who is your backup goaltender to Semyon Varlamov? You're asking who's the backup to the backup at this point, but because Varlamov would technically be the starter, Probably everyone who loves Bridgeport's favorite player, Christopher Gibson. Although Gibson himself is an atrocious player to begin with. I don't know why people thought he'd be this savior for everyone. So I remember a couple people who did say that. I'm not going to name names, but I know they're Bridgeport lovers. Gibson is nothing more than a career AHL goaltender who will get his shine in the NHL as a backup whenever the second string guy gets hurt or the starter gets hurt. Point is, whichever guy goes, Thomas Greiss was moved to the starter, and then it was JF Berube who was the backup to Thomas Greiss. But then Berube suffered an injury of some sorts, and Christopher Gibson was called up. Coincidence? I think not. Best nickname for Lou: lazy, lethargic, lackadaisical, lousy, low energy. I honestly don't know. There's a lot of them. Now, I'm not meant to bash Lou over the head with a broken stick every now and again, but he does deserve his praise for some things, but he also deserves his fair share of criticisms. For instance, people have been telling me, well, you can't criticize him because of his impeccable resume. Well, resume or not, he's had a good career outside of New York, yes. But right now, it's all about what he's doing for New York. That's what matters the most. You see, when it comes to these sort of things, you need to understand something. When it comes, I sound like Maury, when it comes to how you do with a certain team, what you did in the past doesn't mean a thing unless you're winning right now. And the Islanders, when they lost that winning streak of theirs, that point streak, they went on a grand total of 19, 20, and 9. Under 500. And if you were to pool that together, because of technicality reasons, it'd be 19 and 29. It's not good. It's 10 games under 500. But because it's hockey standards and hockey standings, it's 1 game under 500, which is saving their neck. They haven't been able to win any games lately. What is going to be surprising is if for some reason the season continues, will the Islanders be able to bounce back? Will they? Who knows? What will the excuses be since the Isles lovers since people can't use the 2 arenas excuse anymore? There is no excuse. This is Lou Lamoriello's season to get the goal scoring that this team needs. This is what it needs. This is what happens. This is what this team needs. This is the offseason now where Lou has to buckle down and get this team a goal scorer. There are some guys who have honored their contract so far. There are some guys who have simply shit the bed on their contract so far. The guys who have lived up to their contracts are Brock Nelson, Derek Brassard, and he hasn't been terrific by any means, but Derek Brassard so far, he's lived up to his. It's a hit and miss, honestly, with Varlamov. He was strong, and then he was weak, and then he was strong. He was weak. It's a hit and miss with him. So it's very hard to say when it comes to Varlamov. Kind of an in-between there. Honestly, I said at the beginning of the season, actually middle of the season, that if he were to hit 20 goals minimum, 20, I'm not asking for 30 or 40. I'm not that insane. We asked for 20 goals minimum from Jordan Eberle, especially in the top 6 role, in the top 3 role that he's been playing. When you play in that role, your expectations go a little higher. Excuse me. So, Jordan Eberle has not lived up to his contract. Now, he's got 4 more years to do so, possibly the rest of this season. Anders Lee. Can't say he has. I really can't say he has. Yes, he's the captain. He's this, he's that. But I can't say he's lived up to his contract. Has Thomas Greiss lived up to his extension? Now, we're talking about the extension he signed, not the overall the two contracts he's had. We're talking the extension. He had an okay year in the first year that he signed it. No, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. He had a terrible year, career worst, in his first year of the contract. He had the best year of his career last season. This season, it's been so-so. And in his tenure as an Islander, would I say he was a good Islander? I'd say overall, you have your bumps in your bumps in the road. I'd say Greiss has been a good Islander. Now, I'm not saying he deserves to be in the Islanders Hall of Fame. I'm not saying he deserves to have his number one retired. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, I think he's done his part for the Islanders as a backup goaltender and had to be a starter when needed. I'd say he's been an acceptable piece. Now, I'm not saying he has to come back. I'm simply saying that I think that when it comes to Thomas Greiss, I think he's been a good Islander. I'm not saying he was stellar. I'm not saying he was miserable. I think he was a good goaltender for us. When it came to him being a backup, it's much better than Michael Neuwirth or someone else, Christopher Gibson. Just saying. For backup purposes, I think he was a good backup goaltender for this team. Served a good purpose, was a good teammate for this squad. And overall, he gets my approval. If I were to grade him, I'd say a C+, maybe a B-. But it's a very curved B-. So overall, I'd have to say a C+. Not a good goaltender, not a terrible one. I'm sorry, not a great goaltender, not a terrible one. Good goaltender for this. Let's see here. If this is our team going to Belmont, unacceptable? Absolutely unacceptable. We need goal scoring. This team can't score a goal. This team couldn't get a damn beach ball past a goaltender. If Martin doesn't return, thoughts on his 2 stints with the Isles? Martin's been a key piece for this team. In his first stint with the Islanders, it was great. In his second stint, last year, was actually pretty good. This year, he's been a shell of his former self. Now, I don't know if he's masking an injury or he just doesn't have it anymore. But I wouldn't want Martin back, and that's no disrespect to him, but I think it's time we move Ross Johnston into that spot. Just pointing that out there, people. Just pointing that out there. Because the easy peasy lemon squeezy reason that it's time to move on. I said this when Martin was acquired last year. I said that you could have the best fourth line in hockey, but eventually it's going to become age is going to hit it like a shit ton of bricks. And with this being said, this team needs a wake-up call. You can't just keep bringing back the same squad, which is something I fear will happen next year. Hopefully, I am wrong. The only difference that we have in this team coming into next year so far is Sorokin, possibly, and Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Maybe Andy Green. But I don't know. I really don't at this point. I honestly don't. Very hard to give a determination. Can I live with a Cizikas, Clutterbuck, and Komarov fourth line next season? I would prefer Johnston, but if Komarov is relegated to the fourth line role, I'm fine with that. He's a Lou guy, so we're kind of stuck with him. Now, if Boychuk and Ladd are gone due to buyout reasons with amnesty, who knows? But for this Islander squad, they can only hope and thank their lucky stars that this break came when it did. Because let me tell you, if the Islanders were continuing to play, let's say this epidemic didn't exist, and they were continuing to play, I have no doubt in my mind saying this team would have missed the playoffs. The time they scored 4 goals was against San Jose at home. That's when the last time they scored 4 goals. They have so much trouble scoring goals, it isn't funny. It's just that's how bad it's come. It's like they opt to pass rather than to shoot. Would I rather keep Tom Kuhnackel or have Michael Del Cole as our 13th forward? I don't like either of them. But if I were to choose, I'd probably go Del Cole simply because he has another year on his contract, and I know Kuhnackel's going to want maybe a couple $1 million. I go with the cheap option, have Del Cole. Unless you trade him. Who would I rather have as a 13 forward? At this point, I don't give a rat's ass. Especially with this epidemic going on. But this is known. This is Lou's offseason. He has to make a desperate move for a goal scorer. We can't go into next season with virtually the same squad again. We did that last year. The exception of Tavares, honestly. Obviously. We did it this year. To subtract last year without Tavares, Halak, and I forgot who else. But point is, those 2 guys were gone. We brought in Valtteri Filppula, Leo Komarov, Robin Lehner. This makes you wonder, honestly. It makes you wonder. So the subtractions from last year to this year were Robin Lehner, and Valtteri Filppula. The additions were Derek Brassard and Semyon Varlamov. Can't say goal scoring has improved. You can't say goaltending has improved. Would I rather the cap go up to $88 million or stay at 81.5 with 2 amnesty buyouts? Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's actually a good question because you're going to have to buy out some of these contracts. But with the amnesty staying at the current cap level, I'll take that. But I'll also take the $88 million. I think I'd rather go amnesty. You get rid of 2 bad contracts, one of which is horrific to begin with. The other one was needed at the time. So, and when I say needed at the time, I'm talking Boychuk. This defense was horrible without Boychuk and Leddy. And at the time, we needed some defensemen to stay around. So we signed Nick Leddy and Johnny Boychuk. And at the time, Boychuk was needed. So there's, a little bit of pass in that. So at this point, I'd have to go with the amnesty. Because if you stick with the $88 million, you're still sticking and holding on to those contracts. I'd rather get rid of them. It's one of those things that's, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, with all that being said, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows, honestly? Who the sweet hell knows? What else is there to talk about? So, you know what? Let's skip everything else. Let's go to a Q&A for everyone for the next 10, 20 minutes. Anybody who has questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. Message me on Facebook even. If you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, I'll get into it. I doubt I'm going to go the full hour today, but I'm already at the point of no return, so can't help myself there, right? But overall, I'm hoping everyone enjoyed this show just for the sake of, hey, this is what, needed to happen. He has this offseason to prove himself. Now, to go back a second, I had a friend of mine who was at the game against Montreal. He was at the game against Montreal, and he said he was sitting close or in viewing distance of the owner's suite where Lou Lamoriello and the owner sit, as well as was able to see what was going on. And according to him, when the Islanders were losing to Montreal 6-2 or whatever it was, he said that maybe that's an incentive for Lou to say, hey, we need to make a move, a big one. Who knows? I can tell you this, though. If no improvements are made for this team, none, and I mean none, where no goal scorer is brought in, and the only moves that are made is bringing in Sorokin and some AHL deals, as well as re-signing Barzal, Polak, and Taves, that's not going to help this team. It really isn't. Especially when you have a lot of cap space. And if the same dudes are brought back in the form of maybe Kuhnhackl or another fourth liner, then after that offseason, depending on how the team does, Lou's got to go. Now, I'm not saying he has to be fired and away from the organization, but he can't be in the GM role anymore. If he wants to remain the president of the team, I'm in favor of that. As long as this next GM has a modern taste of the NHL, and if he has to report to Lou on everything, fine. I don't care. But as long as the GM is calling the shots. Anybody else? Questions, comments, some concerns of anything? Anything at all for that matter. Why hasn't Lou signed any college UFAs? Teams are signing the left and right. I couldn't answer that because I really don't know. You have to remember, Lou loves chemistry. Maybe they don't fit the chemistry aspect of it. But honestly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't pay attention to college. I don't pay attention to that really. And as much as I should, I don't. I've got other sports to worry about during that time. So I honestly can't give you an answer for that. I really can't. As much as it would be beneficial for me to be a part of that and to pay attention to it, I don't. Once hockey season ends, I go to baseball. When baseball season ends, I go to football. And then when football season is in the middle of it, I go to hockey. And it's an endless cycle all over again. And notice the fact that I don't pay attention to basketball because I simply don't care for it. But what is a man to do? What is a man's man to do? What is there to comment on? What is there to say? Any other questions? Any other comments? Any other concerns as my back cracks? Any at all? I miss my fans, honestly. I miss seeing them on Facebook. And the next show will be 29 days from now. So figure a month from now. Let's see here. The next live show will be probably April 25th, I want to say. Maybe not. Not too sure yet. But around sometime in April when the weather warms up. And if the weather is warm enough, I will do a show outside. But that's taking it a little far. That's if the weather is good enough to sit around in nothing but a short sleeve shirt and shorts. Just saying. Just pointing that out there. I doubt it will be. But imagine if it were. That'd be great. Can Kuhnhackl crack the top 6 if the season starts up? Why would you even ask that? Why would anyone in their right mind ask that? Is Kuhnackel a goal scorer? Is Kuhnackel anything relative to a top 6 forward? No. He's a fourth liner, an extra. Let me ask you, when he was in Pittsburgh, did we see him playing with Sidney Crosby on his line? Maybe if there was an injury to someone, maybe. But still, would you? I don't know any team out there who decides to put a Tom Kuhnackel, a 13th forward, on a top 6. Shake things up? Oh, you really shook things up, all right. What does he do? Chemistry reasons? Is this a Lou idea? Lord have mercy. Lord have lots of mercy. Lord have lots of mercy. It is painful. Very painful. Holy shit, is it painful? Especially when you hear some of these questions. Woo. Jesus H. Christ. Salvi Kevin, welcome back. Thank you, Salvi Kevin. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns? Anything? We've got about 10 minutes left. I want to talk for another 10 minutes. Then relax, have some lunch, do other things too. Debating what to make for dinner. I know what I'm having for lunch, but dinner, still a mystery. Leo cracks top. Oh, come on. Come on. Do you really want to ask me those sorts of things? I know who you are. Yep, that could be a possibility. Why? Kevin, are you making smoothies? I got to know. You have yet to give me mine. You gave everybody else theirs. I didn't get one. What the hell? Komarov and Kuhnackel cracking the top 6. I have a better chance of cracking the top 6 than they do. And I used to play hockey, and I was a goaltender, for God's sakes. Then again, that's Marty Brodeur's team, all goaltenders. Lord have mercy. God. My head hurts just from listening and hearing that question resonate. Ooh. Any legitimate question, comments, or concerns? I better get that smoothie, Kevin. I better get that smoothie. In Louis trust. I trust Trotz. I don't particularly trust Lou yet. When I see goal scoring on this team, maybe I will. Here's a question for everyone out there in Isles land. Do you bring back Jim Hiller? That's quite the question. Do you bring back Jim Hiller, whose offensive scheme, power play scheme, reminds you a lot of Scott Gomez? I don't know. Do you or do you not? That is the question that we all have now, isn't it? I honestly don't know if I would even think about it. You want my honest opinion on things, I give you it. And I honestly don't know if I would. I don't know if I would keep him. Maybe one more season. Maybe no more seasons. But I can tell you, Lou had better get this team a goal scorer. Their power play looks miserable. Lee, who averages about 10 power play goals a season, only has 2 this season. 2 power play goals on a power play that is almost resemblant of last year. It's as almost as if Jim Hiller is saying, hey, you got to pass it. Then the teams will really get confused. No, you pass it, teams will catch on. Just saying. Any Bute have any questions, comments, or concerns? I'm going to go for another 5 minutes, then I'm going to cancel it out. Anybody? Questions, comments, or concerns? There's something I want to talk about, but I won't. Not until April, at least. Not until April. That'll be when we talk about something in particular. I'm not even going to hint towards it. I'm not going to say it. It's that one piece that this team is missing and has been missing since a certain player left. People will say, oh, well, he's this, he's that. But overall, that's part of his jersey right there. If you can guess it, there you go. I don't know if you can see the rest or not, but the point is, it's a 9. Kyle Dubas or Lou Lamoriello. Both aren't good with cap. Someone commented, see the list of free agents? I have, actually. The list of free agents, it's not anything sensational or spectacular for that matter. But Dubas or Lou, both of which aren't good at handling the cap. One has more of an offensive team, one has more of a defensive, and both have issues on the opposite side of that. If it's the offense, they have trouble with defense, and if it's defense, they have trouble with offense. Pick your poison with that, for that matter. Pick your poison. Doesn't matter at that point. One team has incredible goal scoring. The other one is good defense. Should be fine, right? But if the team that has a good defense, they can't score. The team that has good offense, they can't defend. One team lost to an AHL goaltender. The other one lost to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver. Either or, that's embarrassing. The worst is losing to the Zamboni driver, yes. But that's all honesty at that point, my friends. But what can you do? Well, what you gonna do when they come for you? If the rosters remain similar, who has more points next season, the Islanders or the Rangers? Well, with the Rangers' recent surge coming to a halt, if no offense is improved, I'd have to say the Rangers. What the Rangers have that the Islanders don't is they have an offense. And yes, they have trouble on defense. But the difference is in this situation, the Rangers have a goal-scoring threat. In fact, a couple. One in Chris Kreider, who they just extended, Mika Zibanejad, and Artemi Panarin. Who do the Islanders really have a threat to them? They're gritty, they're this, they're that, yes, but you need goal scoring on a team. With this team, they don't have any. Now, we all know injuries play a role in this, but I don't know. It truly does make you wonder. There's not really many free agents to choose from, so you'd have to trade. At that point, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind trading at this point. Because of which, there really isn't much choice. There really isn't much of a choice out there for the Islanders. There really isn't. Lou has to make a move. Final question right here. If Lou doesn't get a goal scorer, if the team does horribly and struggles to score, possible, then who's your head coach? I want to keep Trotz for as long as possible. He's the coach we've needed for a long time. Nothing. Who was the guy before Capuano? And then whoever that dude was. Ugh. But overall, this team needs Barry Trotz. They need him. No short and easy way of putting it. They need him. This team does look disciplined beyond belief. Now, from Trotz's system, it needs to be tweaked a bit, but still, it's a good defensive system. This team has structure. It's a good system. Final grade on Garceau. D. Some good, covered mostly by bad. Putting it out like that. He'd make a good AGM for a team, maybe a GM for an AHL team. Learn how to become a GM, but not good. With that being said, everybody, thank you very much, everybody, for watching this live show of the Risorto Report. The next live show will be sometime in April. I want to say mid-April, whenever this ban gets lifted, so I can broadcast on Facebook again. So, until the next show, my friends, and whenever hockey season decides to come back, and same with the sports world, let's go Islanders.